Now, before we get carried away, let's proceed to the moment we've all been waiting for, the living eulogy, the roast of Leroy M. Garcia. Mr. President, would you like to make some remarks? All right. Let the games begin. Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the State Fair be moved to You know, I usually don't come down and speak at these deals. They become a little more emotional, but I can tell you, the good senator from Pueblo and I have a different relationship than I have with most everybody else. I came in before him, obviously, but when we were in the House, we quickly developed a very good working relationship, one in which was mutual respect, and I think sometimes that comes from making mistakes. And I don't even remember what the issue was, but I screwed up. I screwed up immensely. And I drove to Pueblo and asked for a meeting so I could apologize. That is the relationship that we have had together. It's a relationship of integrity, which is, I'm sure, one of the largest reasons that he now has this new position in Washington, D.C. We can question his mental stability for wanting to go to Washington, D.C., but I can tell you that Washington, D.C. will be better because you're there. Sir, it's been a pleasure to work with you. Even though we never did get your boys out to the ranch to do the work that you wanted them to do, we still have some time to make that happen. And I look forward to a long-standing relationship with my good friend, colleague, mutual respect for. Mr. President, it's been a pleasure to serve with you.
Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a few remarks to make, but I thought I received this really wonderful note from the good senator from Pueblo, and I thought I would read it to all of you because it really did touch my heart. Barb, it has been great getting to know you these past couple of years. You fast became my favorite Republican senator. That's why I always recognize you last when identifying sponsors or no votes on bills. You didn't think I noticed. I have truly valued your presence within your caucus and understand what it feels like to be the rose amongst so many thorns. I sincerely want to apologize for the harsh $7 fine I imposed on you for calling me chair instead of president that one time. But it did set the bar high for others in your caucus who screw up on a regular basis. I appreciated your calm demeanor when presenting at the podium, the careful, thoughtful debate that you brought forward. Hey, I only had to call you into my office one time. Be sure to stay in contact. Your friend, Leroy Garcia. Thank you for that wonderful note. I also want to thank you for welcoming me to the Senate. When I first arrived here, you called me into your office. We had a great conversation, a great discussion, made me feel very welcomed, told me how things would work here, and I felt an instant connection and an instant friendship. You always conducted the business of the Senate in a very professional, respectful manner, and you brought honor and humility to the office that you hold and the position of Senate President. Thank you for your service to Colorado. I wish you all the best. Go get them.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President, and congratulations. I too want to talk about the card that President Garcia gave me, but first, he and I have been friends for a long time. We came in together in the Senate at the same time, and ever since baby legislator training is like what I refer to it as, that's when we first became friends and got to know each other during that time. We even talked about in the first couple of years that we were here, we were in the majority, and Leroy was sitting over here, and we talked about many times moving our desks out away from here and out from here and putting them in the aisle and becoming our own party, and either becoming unaffiliated together and again just become our own party and work together and put aside partisan differences. One of the things that impressed me a lot was that when we were in the majority, we had a bill on taking away some of the authority of the Colorado Consumer Department, whatever they're called. And I believe Leroy ran either amendment or part of his bill. And we were taking away part of their authority, and the Democrats wanted to not take it away. And every single Democrat walked out of the chamber, except for President Garcia. He refused to walk out. And then when President Cadman came back in and started calling the roll, everybody else came back in, but refused to vote. They did a 17D, I believe it was. And everybody over here on this side was pulling out the rule book, like, what the heck is a 17D? And so we looked it up, and it was present but refusing to vote. And the only one that voted on this side was President Garcia. I always had a lot of respect for him. Well, that day, my respect grew tenfold because of his courage, and he voted with us against his party. And again, my respect increased tenfold. Leroy was the first person that I ever heard that saying of the majority has its way, the minority has its say. So he was a good teacher on that, and he lived up to it as president. When we were in charge, he would remind me of that all the time. And then when you all took over, he always allowed us to have our say because he knew how important it was for the minority to have its say, because everybody knows the majority is going to get their way most of the time. Most of the time. And so he never really backed down from that. He always allowed us to get up and say what we needed to say and what we wanted to say. A couple of other things I really appreciate about him is he's a rules guy. And I love the rules. I think rules in life here and in general are important. And Leroy brought the rules here to the Senate in a certain amount of decorum. I always appreciated his decorum when he was up in his perch. You know, his card to me, says, I'm kind of a little jealous now because it wasn't quite as nice as the one from the other senator from Weld County. But he says, John, brother. And that's kind of how I look at President Garcia, as a brother. Brother, I will miss you and all the fun we've had over the past 8 years. If you go to the D.C. area, which I probably won't, but if I do, please text me. Work hard, but not hard enough to win the majority back. So, but that's another, I really enjoy, if you look at him right now, I love his smile. He has one of the greatest smiles I've ever seen, great sense of humor, and, he can take the hits. One thing about a leader is you grow into the position. You don't, just because you get elected as president, majority leader, you don't automatically know everything. You grow into it. And Mr. President, you did a great job. You know, we were friends, like I said, from the beginning. That friendship never really wavered. There were times we've gone through rough times together. I don't really need to mention the lawsuit, but our friendship, but I will. You know, our friendship wasn't quite as strong then, but it never fell apart. You know, the senator or the president, I think, you know, we learned from that experience, and the president learned from that experience, and our friendship got even stronger, I believe, after it, because everybody matured, everybody learned how to be a better leader and better friends. But I think one of my biggest takeaways from Leroy, if I may call you that, is these cards. It's class. And if I had one word to describe President Garcia, it's class. And I want to thank you. Really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate all that you've done. And it's been a pleasure working with you. I know everybody says that, but it's true. And I might just fly out to DC just to see you and have you buy drinks. So, again, thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor and a privilege. Love you, man.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you. Presidente, I don't know if you remember the very first time that we sat down and met, but I have a very, very clear memory. You invited me to breakfast, and we were at Racine's. And I had just won this primary. And as somebody who had never thought I was ever going to run for office and then somehow found myself winning the Democratic primary, it was an interesting breakfast. And I have a very clear memory that I was like, all right, as long as you stab me in the front, we're cool. But if you stab me in the back, we got problems. And that was the tone that I came in to this place with. And I want to thank you for all of the mentorship and guidance that you've provided over the past several years, because you turned that frustration into a willingness to learn the rules, a willingness and an understanding of the importance of decorum in this chamber. That the way that we treat each other here matters and has ramifications for the rest of the state. And so I come with a few gifts. Because DC can be a very, very strange place. May you always have a candle in moments of difficulty to pray to La Virgen, because this matters. Whenever you see a single-use plastic, may you be reminded of your friend and colleague. And because I know firsthand, living on the East Coast can be real, real rough. But may times never be so difficult that you have to resort to eating Hatch green chili. Know that you always have friends and colleagues who will be happy to overnight some real Pueblo chili so that you don't have to resort to any of this. You're going to continue your service in a new way, and I think we all couldn't be prouder of everything that you've accomplished. I so look forward to moving the State Fair to Denver. But I'm grateful for all of the things that I've learned from you through your leadership. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Thank you.
Senator Lundin.
Thank you, Mr. President Fenberg. President Garcia, colleagues, we serve in a crucible. It's a refining place, a place that sometimes gets hot and filled with pressure. And it's a crucible that I believe creates better policy for the people of Colorado, sometimes under greater pressure and under greater heat. It can also be a crucible in our relationships, human being to human being. Early in my first year, some interesting things happened in this chamber where we, one side and the other, were pushing up to the edges of the boundaries of how we interact in this society. We don't throw down and have duels like they used to, but we will take things to court occasionally in order to do that. And the refining piece, the learning piece for me, Mr. President, in this personal relationship set in the broader crucible of policymaking was a mistake I made in the process of trying to figure out where we were going. Now, I won't go into the whole details, and I will conclude my remarks ultimately and explain that mistake and how it resolves into a better friendship. But I will tell you that after making that mistake, we had a certain committee meeting, and the next morning I showed up at this well, and I had a recording of some gibberish that was presented in this chamber the day before, and I held my phone up, and I pressed play, and my phone started, and the chair, I heard the gavel go down behind me, boom! And oh my goodness. And I heard, the senator is out of order. And I think, I know, this is perfectly within the rules. And I heard boom again. And I said, I'm sorry, Mr. President, I don't know where I'm at. Boom! And I thought that gavel was going to come flying from the podium down at my head with the next motion. In fact, that was the refining point of the conversation. That was where it got as difficult as it got in that process that I accelerated by virtue of my mistake. And the lesson colleagues learned from that is have the conversation. Easy conversations, difficult conversations, fun conversations, challenging conversations. Have the conversation. Had I had a conversation with my acquaintance and colleague, now friend, it's possible that I might not have been afraid of a gavel hitting me in the back of the head that next morning. So colleagues, it is by virtue of energy, power, thought, character that we all become better. And we have the opportunity to learn from each other to become, in fact, better. And Mr. President, I thank you for making me better, not just as a senator, but as a human being, by learning that lesson to have the conversation, even when it's difficult. Now, I suppose at some future time, I will see you again and I will say, Mr. President, but for now, I'm going to stop calling you Mr. President. I'm going to start calling you Mr. Special Assistant. Because that is your new title, and I'm sure you will bring the same energy and thought and insight and power to that role in that five-sided building that is dramatically overpopulated. I'm sure you'll find your way quickly. Mr. President, it has been a pleasure serving with you, and I look forward to remaining your friend for as long as we both wander on the face of this planet. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Buckner.
Thank you, Mr. President. That has a nice ring to it. My late husband served with President Garcia in the House of Representatives when he was a state rep. And my husband used to come home and talk about people that he worked with in the House. And he said, Janet, there is this young guy, Leroy Garcia. He's smart as a whip, great dresser, smart dresser, and he's really thoughtful. And I remembered that. And he also said, this young man is going places. Well, when I decided to run for the state Senate, I talked to Leroy and said, do you think I would be a good fit over in the Senate? And he said, yes, you would, and I encourage you to run for state Senate. That was during COVID. So after I won, I was still a little bit unsure about whether I was going to fit in or not. President Garcia came to my house after I had won, sat on my front porch with a box of donuts, and he reassured me that this was the right place for me to be. And here I am today, and I'm glad that you gave me that advice, and I do feel like I'm in the right place. He welcomed me, made sure I understood what was going on in the Senate, made sure I felt comfortable over here. And once again, that thoughtfulness came out every time. Well, I think my husband's prediction was true, that you were going places. You're going to the Pentagon, and that is a big deal, and I am so excited for you and so proud of you, and I'm going to miss you, but I am coming to DC because I have a lot of friends there. So with that being said, congratulations. The thoughtfulness in these notes is so heartfelt and wonderful. It tells who you are, and I'm so proud of you, and you are going to be doing a great job at the Pentagon, and I'm going to miss you, but I'll still be calling you.
Senator Heisey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to tell you, I'm feeling fairly emboldened right now. We have a gavel guard behind me. So, I'm a new freshman in 19. Probably not our finest year on either side, but anyway, I was here. And my bills aren't doing too well. And the next thing you know, I'm getting a call from the president's office, and they're saying, the president thinks he's found a bill you can pass. Turns out it was right. He was right. It was the seed potato sunset bill. First bill I passed. We had a signing ceremony. Now, after that, he realized that I really did need some help. He found some other bills that actually he was willing to be on with me. He did not offer to be on the seed potato sunset bill with me. However, bills that maybe were good for Southern Colorado, we'd be on those together. They'd pass. I'd get credit. Worked really well because he always showed up at the committee hearing very prepared. And my biggest challenge was, when it was my turn to speak, was to just not say, yeah, what he said. So it's great to be on a bill with the president. Over the course of the next 2 years, well, the year after that, my first 2 years here, we developed what I thought was a pretty special relationship. It was not uncommon to find that he wanted to be on a bill with me, or so I thought. And so I thought I was somebody special in his life. And then 2021 rolls around, and we've got a new crop of freshmen. All of a sudden, I find he's doing that for every freshman. So much for me being special. However, that really is who Leroy Garcia is. He's gonna reach out to the people that are new, the people that he sees are needing a little help, and he's gonna nurture them along. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I do appreciate your friendship, and I have no doubt that had you known we were going to stand down here at the well and read the comments that you wrote in your card, you would have wrote more than mine.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, my dearest Mr. President, Mr. President Garcia. I'm going to have to get used to saying President Finberg, but I'll get there. But I just want to share my journey with President Garcia. It started in the House and then it moved to the Senate. And what I want to do is to share with you all what I know for sure about him. And what I know for sure is he's kind. He's good. Yes. Thought I heard something. Am I on mute?
Senator Fields, you are not on mute. We can hear you and your phone ringing.
Okay. I just turned it off. You know that happens a lot with me. Anyway, what I was saying, that I know that you're kind and you're good. And I've observed you from afar for a very long time. And so I know that your family is there. And I just want to acknowledge your family, especially your mom and your dad, because that's how we shape our character. That's how we are shaped to find our place in the world. It's through the eyes of our parents. And and the love that surrounds us. So as I've seen you be a father, I've seen that same sense of love and joy that has been extended to you. So I just want to thank them for all of the roles that they played in shaping who you are. What I know about you is that you are a principle-centered leader. The reason I know that is because you're always conscientious. You're always forward thinking. And what I like about you the most is that you're always accessible. I'll say, Mr. President, do you have 3 minutes? And I'll take 10. But you've created that space and that time for us to dialogue and for me to kind of get some sense of direction. And once I left those conversations, Mr. President, I never left with a directive. You never told me what to do. You empowered me to exercise the leadership that you saw in me. You pulled that out of me, and you were like just a sounding board for me to figure it out, which I had already figured it out, but I don't know what to say. I think I want to say that you gave me the permission to move forward. And so today I'm reminded of a verse. I think it came from my mama, but it might have come from church. And it's the saying that says, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. You teach them how to fish. You feed them for a lifetime. And the food and the nourishment and the support and the teaching and the mentoring that you have provided all of us has set the stage for us to know how to be effective leaders and no matter what corner we find ourselves in. So I am not going to say goodbye. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. And so I'm from the East Coast. So I'm not going to say goodbye. I'm not going to say farewell. I'm just going to say, I'll see you later. And hopefully we'll have some crab cakes together. All the best to you and your family.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. There seems to be a theme emerging that many of us got called into the president's office and emerged as friends. I've had some meetings in the president's office, but I feel like I've only been called in once. And it was my first month in the Senate. And I was told I needed to meet with the president. And I went in, and I was running controversial bills about Title IX and sexual assault and paid family leave and climate. And the president sat me down and said, I thought we were off to a good start. I thought we had a good understanding about the Senate. I thought we had a good relationship, and you just sideswiped me. And I said, I'm sorry, Mr. President, what did I do? And the good senator from Aurora that no longer serves here and I thought we would bring some humor from the House. I was from the House. And change the rules and allow children to say the pledge every morning without waiving the rules. I didn't know that was a problem. And I had broken a violation of trust because he had a love of rules. And I've now come to understand that that love of rules is actually love of the Senate. It's love of family. It's love of us. It is love for the work we do and the importance of the work we do. And so my first month, I thought I'd change a rule without talking to the president first. I now know better, and I think it's very appropriate that we waived the rules this morning to allow your son to do the pledge. And I appreciate your love of the Senate and of all of us and the importance of the work we do and the importance of family. And you've made Colorado a much better place for your service, and you will make our nation a much better place because of your service.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't want this morning to go without having an opportunity to also wish my best to President Garcia in his new role and to thank him for his friendship down here at the Capitol. The two of us go back, way back, when I was here in the Senate and you were actually still in the House. And we used to meet up to talk strategy and figuring out ways that we could get you in here into the Senate. And I very much appreciated way back when your friendship and our ability to have meaningful conversations with one another. I think part of that is that we have very similar backgrounds, and in particular, we are both Catholic legislators. And I don't tend to wear that on my sleeves very much, but I do know that on occasion we will both be in this chamber with little black marks on our forehead, and that'll remind me that we are both still Catholic legislators. And I have a prayer that I wanted to share. It's from a homily that was given by Bishop Oscar Romero, and it's my favorite prayer because Oscar Romero was a fantastic person who really believed in the power of people, and he was the kind of person that has a very similar leadership style as the president, because he was a quiet leader, but he stood up for the things that he believed in. And so it's called Be a Builder. It says, "We accomplish in our lifetime only a fraction of the magnificent enterprise that is the Lord's work. Nothing we do is complete. We plant seeds that one day will grow. We water the seeds already planted, knowing that they hold future promise. We lay foundations that will need further development. We cannot do everything, and there is a sense of liberation in realizing that. This enables us to do something, and to do it very well. It may be incomplete, but it is a beginning, a step along the way, an opportunity for the Lord's grace to enter and do the rest. We may never see the end results, but that is the difference between the master builder and the worker. We are workers, not master builders. Ministers, not messiahs. We are prophets of a future not our own. We now go forward in the name of God, the Liberator." Mr. President, I truly see you as one of these builders, and you've done tremendous work down here in the service of our Lord and in the service of the people of Colorado. And I very much appreciate you and all that you've done, and I wish you good luck.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. President Garcia, it's kind of bittersweet to have switching over of leadership in the middle of session, but I understand family and career comes first, especially in this job. We served in the House together. We didn't sit on a lot of committees, and we didn't talk and do a lot of late night stuff together, but we also noticed that being from Pueblo and Adams County, there were a lot of similarities in the way we voted, because for a number of reasons, people have the same values in those parts of the state. So I really want to wish him well in his future endeavors, and whatever they may be in DC, and hopefully he makes it back here to Colorado. But I remember one particular time I was walking by his desk in the back row, and he was doing his postcards. That's all he did. He was very smart because he stayed out of the well. Like many folks in the House love going down in the well because they want those 20 people at home watching us on TV to hear every word they're saying. So I noticed that, and I said to him, I don't know if you remember this, Mr. President, but I said, "You're very smart. You're staying out of the well. You're out here, back here, doing your postcards, staying in touch with the folks in the district," because I know he's knocked on a lot of doors and made a lot of contacts. So with that, Mr. President, I wish you well, and thanks for all you've done for the state of Colorado.
Senator Pedersen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to be able to come up here, Leroy. I had the opportunity to work with Mr. President for a decade now. We first came in after our 2012 election. 2013, we had taken back the State House, and we also had the State Senate. Mr. Minority Leader was also there with us. It was a very eventful first year. And for all of you, where we get out early on Fridays, that's to the good leadership of our president. That was not the case in the House. I remember spending most Friday nights it was often that we would go into the next morning. It was quite the 2 years, and we often sat in the back watching the madness, commenting about what was happening and what the right decisions were, and trying to figure it out together as freshmen. And even from the first year, it was very obvious that President Garcia was incredibly connected to his community, was a product of that community, and was a fierce advocate. I don't know if the joke around pork for Pueblo came because of Leroy, but of course we brought it up constantly. You were an amazing representative and left us too soon to come to the Senate, where ultimately you made us all feel very welcome, from initially beginning to run to ultimately stepping up to this position. And something that I really appreciate about Leroy it's actually why we had some friction sometimes as well, is, I have an opinion that just because we've always done it this way, isn't there a better way that we might want to look at it? And he has a position of, this is how we've always done it this way. And maybe we should continue to do it this way. But ultimately, it was that consistency that he brought for this chamber and for our caucus, I think, that was necessary. I think that comes from your military background, your level-headedness, and you provided the consistency for all of us here in the chamber. As I face my last year here, my last session, knowing that you have probably already been thinking about all these things, Leroy, because you knew it was coming for you, and now, unfortunately, we won't have you for the rest of it. But it does bring up a lot of, I think like most things, you probably feel like you have it figured out once you're towards the end. And if only we knew what we know now back then. And, reflecting about the work that we've done, more that we could have done. Ed Perlmutter told me that there's never a time where you feel okay stepping away, because there's always more work to do. But you represented your community well. You were a great friend to all of us. You were always respectful. And we're going to miss you, Leroy. I hope that I'm lucky enough to see you in DC, and that you continue to keep us updated. Thank you.
Senator Gardner.
President Garcia, I would give a lot to know what's going through your mind right now. You allowed us, Hal, in your very gracious note, that a part of you will actually miss me. Let me assure you that all of me will miss you, particularly when the lash of Boulder finally finds his chops up there and imposes double-digit fines or something along those lines. In thinking about your service, which has been stellar and conscientious and always mindful of the good of your community and the people of Colorado, I thought, politics is the strangest business of all. You and I were in the House together, and I treasure those times we had and got to know each other. A prior president and some colleagues made a vote that caused great consternation throughout Colorado and resulted in a recall election, placing your predecessor for one session in this chamber while you served in the House, and as the senator from Adams County noted, you were smart and making outreach to your constituents all that time, and it found you the following session almost inevitably here in this chamber. And because leadership always shows and leadership always rises to the top, you, based on all that strange course of events, if you think about it, it's particularly interesting, but your leadership rose to the top. And I admire you and thank you for that. Mr. President, I do wonder, though, because I was looking at the Department of Defense protocol list, and it says that we as state senators, when attending events and doing things in our own state, are on the protocol list as 3-star generals. I don't know if you knew that or not. But I don't think that special assistants and assistant secretaries are 3-star generals in D.C. So we will miss you and your leadership here. We will forever be memorialized in the Colorado reports and a particular case, but I think that was Senator Cook and Secretary Markwell. I don't know that that was Senator Holbert and I. These things are political challenges and political debates. They are not what we mean to each other as people and the respect we have for each other as people. And Mr. President, I will always and forever respect you and your leadership for your community, the state of Colorado. I don't think we'll have military time anymore, unfortunately. I'll try to teach the new president what 1,000 hours is, and when we're here at 2,300 hours, I will tell him what that is. I will miss you. I wish you the very, very best. And as I said in a poem not long ago, on some day, both when you are frustrated by the 5-sided building and you read about the frustrations here, do call me and say, do you miss me now? And I'll say, yes, I do. Good luck.
Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief, but I did want to take the opportunity to publicly come up and thank President Garcia for both his leadership and really the friendship created over really a short time period. I've only been here 14 months and have been to the President's office numerous times already, so even once this year. But, you know, our shared passion about rural Colorado and Pueblo in particular, we share representation in Pueblo, and it's been an honor to serve with you and learn a little bit, you know, from you, your expertise, and again, that passion for Pueblo in particular, but rural Colorado and Colorado in general is really inspirational to me. And I do expect or understand or know that torch, that passion for keeping the state fair in Pueblo resides with me. I'm happy to take that on, and over my dead body will the state fair move out of Pueblo, Colorado. And in your new role, I expect you, I would expect you to bring the full force of the federal government and the Department of Defense, if needed and required, if there is an effort to move the state fair out of Pueblo, Colorado. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you as well.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we do have a beautiful token of the appreciation of the state of Colorado for President Garcia. I'll just show it to all of you and try not to break it. In recognition of your service, Mr. President, it has the dates that you served in the State House of Representatives, the dates that you served as a state senator, and the dates as president. So we hope that you will display this proudly wherever you land in DC, and excited to visit you in your new location. President Garcia and I have traveled halfway across the world together, and expect that we would continue to travel. Expect you'll be doing more in your new position, but look forward to visiting you in DC and staying in contact. Have really loved the friendship that we've built and expect that to continue. Thank you, Mr. President.
Minority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. These eulogies to the living, as Senator Stedman coined them, can drag on. And in 78 days, I suppose a few of you might be up here saying nice things about me. A few. Term limits are tough. I voted for them. But especially in leadership, we spend so much time focused on this place and this process. One early memory regarding Senator Garcia was that I ran a bill that the Assistant Majority Leader probably doesn't want me to talk about, but to repeal the 15-round limit on magazines in Colorado. And I was very proud that with 18 Republican senators, that bill passed out of this chamber with 21 yes votes. And President Garcia, I believe, was a co-sponsor of that bill. That's selfish. That's about my legislative career, my efforts. What I want to leave you all with is a story that you all need to learn, especially if you serve in the majority. Especially if you serve in the majority, as I hope my team will be next year. You all know about the lawsuit. That was a rough start to the 2019 session. We joked about it the day that President Garcia submitted his resignation. And for the press, once again, we see all the rumors that take place outside this glass are worth nothing. But when a member puts such a letter on this desk, it becomes official. It's the law. I joked about the lawsuit that day. But I want to share with you something that's about leadership and this institution, the history, the future of this institution, and why today, for me, is a sad day. I want to tell you about July 2019. I was standing on my back deck, not in Parker, but in Douglas County, grilling dinner for my family, when my cell phone rang and it said, Leroy Garcia. The governor was very assertive in encouraging a special session to be called. We just finished a session that was contentious with the lawsuit, Senate Bill 181, lots of stuff. I had a cold beer in one hand and a warm spatula in the other, standing over a very hot grill, and Leroy was calling. It was coming up on the 4th of July, and I don't remember the days of the week and all, but I was pretty much done doing business and getting ready to celebrate Independence Day. and my phone said, Leroy Garcia. I put down the warm spatula and held the cold beer and answered, yes, Mr. President. And the conversation that we had then was about the special session that the governor very much wanted to have happen. And there were members on this side of the aisle who were involved in negotiating that and very much wanted it to happen. And I believe there were members on this side of the aisle who were doing much the same. But President Garcia and I had a conversation not about any one of the individual senators, the other 33 of you who were here. But we had a conversation about the state of Colorado. And we had a conversation about the significance of the number 18. We had a conversation that the reality that some on that side of the aisle would have never voted for a tax increase. I'll call out, since she's not a member here anymore, Senator Lois Court, who I think was the pro tem at that point. And I think she will go to her grave bragging that she never supported any tax increase ever. And we also recognized on this side of the aisle, I'll call out a member who's not here, Senator Hill, who was determined to vote for any tax increase he could possibly vote for. But this conversation, again, wasn't necessarily about anyone here and how you or those who sat here would vote. But it was about the number 18. And it was in recognition that the governor and people outside the Capitol were talking a lot about the importance of having this special session. What we agreed upon was that with the components of this negotiation, that if a decrease, a cut in personal income tax was X, there weren't 18 votes. Not a caucus position, not obligating anybody to vote yes or no, but just given the dynamics of me talking to members of our caucus and him talking to members of his caucus, at X, it didn't equal 18. And X plus a little bit more for a decrease in personal income taxes would bring more votes over here and less votes over there. And X plus a little or a lot didn't equal 18. And X minus a little or a lot didn't equal 18. And as a result of that conversation, and oh, by the way, he was standing by his grill in Pueblo with a cold beer in his hand, or adult beverage. Two men, fortunate to have the opportunity to be elected to serve here. Two people, fortunate to have the support of their respective caucuses and the chamber to serve in leadership of 35 incredibly talented people. Two people who see the world differently, one a Democrat, one a Republican. We came away from that conversation with a decision, an agreement that really affected the state of Colorado. There would be no special session because there weren't 18. It wasn't about force. It wasn't about convincing. It wasn't about trying to create some incentive to go one way or the other. It was just a conversation between two men, two people. If there's one thing that I could leave you with that President Garcia exemplified that night, and I'm so proud to have been a party to that conversation, it is when the going gets tough, if another branch wants this one to do something, if the pressure's on, never be afraid to pick up the phone or go have a conversation with someone on the other side of the aisle, especially for those three of you who next January, two on this side and one on that side, who will be in those three leadership positions. Mr. President, I want to thank you for giving me part of your evening that July evening in 2019, and for the trust, especially the turmoil of the prior session that we went through. The trust to have that conversation, because I think I retract that, not I think, I know Colorado is better for it. And if there's one thing that President Garcia and I and Majority Leader Fenberg, now President Fenberg, can leave for you, it is that we have learned to go in the room. Let me also give a shout out to the Assistant Minority Leader, Senator Cook. We have learned the importance of going in the room and asking, what do you want? How do you need this to work? Doesn't mean we're also always going to get what we want in the minority, but there's always the willingness to listen and talk. And I hope that that continues for the next 78 days, and maybe 78 days from now, some of you might say some kind words about me. But Mr. President, those are the kindest words that I can think of. This institution is losing a great leader, and I am missing already a friend. Vaya con Dios, Mr. President. Adios, amigo. The good senator from Denver knows it's risky when I start speaking Spanish because I'm just like a parrot. I don't know what I'm saying. But the last thing I want to say is that I'm a bit of a Star Trek fan. And being president is rather like being Captain Kirk. And whether we're Bones or Spock, Dr. McCoy or Mr. Spock, I don't know which is which. Live long and prosper, my friend. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Upright character is an important ingredient in any person's life. Character is the guard of your reputation and a necessity for success in any sphere of life. Without it, nations crumble and fall. They fall into moral disarray. However important as character is, there is something that is even more important, and that is integrity, a word that has been shared here today. The word integrity occurs 16 times in the Bible and is without a doubt one of the most important words in the Scriptures. As a person of faith, I know it matters to you to do good that will impact the lives of others both now and eternally. The definition of integrity that resonates with me defines integrity as the condition or quality of being complete, undivided, or unbroken, a sense of wholeness. Being whole and unbroken is important. But I recall one time you told me, and anyone who has had the opportunity to chair the Committee of the Whole, to break something. When I first chaired the COW, you told me and many of us to bang the gavel as hard as we could to make the gavel and or the gavel block break. By this time, I had already developed a healthy fear of Cindy Markwell. Reverence for Cindy and the level of decorum she expects in the Senate. Banging the gavel as hard as we could in the House was acceptable, but I was sure, Senator Garcia, that you were setting me and all of us up to do something that would cause Cindy to give us that look that she gives us to let us know when we've messed up. Eventually, we all broke that block without breaking our standard for decorum. And Cindy never gave me that look of endearment. Senator Garcia, with that president's gavel, coupled with your character and integrity, our chamber, our impact, and the lives of Coloradans have been made whole. That said, we have a gift for you that is not broken. It will serve as a reminder of the way that you have led us and will continue to lead, we believe, no doubt, at a national level. Thank you for not only leading, but for leading by example in a way that we can all, having learned from you, take up the mantle to continue to do this great work for the state of Colorado. We love you, we appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing the great things you will accomplish in the future.
Senator Bridges.
Mr. President, thank you for your service. The President and I have had a special bond, a shared language around my service in Senator Ken Salazar's office, where I handled military policy for the Senator, and of course, the President's service in the Marine Corps. And Mr. President, I want you to know you have a tell. I always know when bad news is coming when President Garcia brings up the military. He will say, Senator Bridges, you are a great sergeant right now, and then I know something bad is coming. But then if it's worse, I get promoted. So, Senator Bridges, you as a lieutenant right now, Lieutenant Bridges, you're really carrying your weight, and I've got something hard to ask you. And it got all the way up to major this year, and I knew really bad things were coming for me, but never general. Luckily, I've never been a general for the good president. But then I saw the message about the Department of Defense, and I knew that really bad news was coming. And that's bad news for all of us here in the Senate. It's good news for President Garcia. It's bad news for Pueblo because you were the last blockade for moving that state fair to Arapahoe County. And, doors wide open on that. But, Mr. President, I will stand in that breach. The state fair belongs in Pueblo. We'll keep it there. And I have been asked today to present you with this flag. And that's especially meaningful to me because, in addition to the connection that we share through the military, we have a connection shared through our deep faith. And both the military and the church recognize the incredible power of symbols. Catholic icons are meant to lift our minds to the contemplation of something higher. And you, Mr. President, have dedicated your life to serving a higher purpose. First, in the Marines, and in City Council, in the state legislature, and even the real job that you have outside of these walls as an EMT. So in the same way that our faith gives us hope that one day we will live in paradise with those we love, I hope that this flag is for you a symbol of the hope that one day you will return from the swamps of Northern Virginia to the paradise that we have here in the great state of Colorado. On behalf of the current President of the Senate, the members and staff of the legislature, and a grateful Colorado, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your honorable and faithful service to the people of our state. Godspeed, Mr. President. Thank you for your service.
President Finberg.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. President, there is no other way for us to show our appreciation for you than a tribute. You have signed hundreds, if not thousands of these. Probably most of them went to people in Pueblo. But there's no other, I don't think you have one of your own yet. So we needed to make sure that you left this chamber with your own tribute. And it was my honor for this to be the first one that I signed for you. So I'm going to read it real quick. Senate President Leroy Garcia was elected to the 69th, 70th, 71st, 72nd, and 73rd General Assemblies, where he represented his fellow citizens of Pueblo and all of Colorado with honor and dedication. During his tenure in the Senate, he was appointed by his peers to serve as the Assistant Minority Leader, the Minority Leader, and the first Latino President of the Senate. He served with distinction as a member of the Agriculture, Natural Resources and Energy Committee, the Transportation Committee, the Appropriations Committee, the Legislative Emergency Preparedness Response and Recovery Committee, and the Executive Committee of the Legislative Council. Additionally, President Garcia served the state of Colorado as acting governor on July 25th, 2019. The citizens of Colorado and members of the Senate express gratitude for his exemplary service to our great state and wish him well in all future endeavors. Mr. President, I hope you hang this in that strange office building that you're going to be working in. And remember us. You know, we're incredibly sad to see you go, but we also understand that this is a long time dream of yours. Because who wouldn't want to be an assistant to an assistant in Virginia? But for some reason, it's your dream, and you're pursuing your dreams. But in all seriousness, Mr. President, we are so proud of you. You know, when I first became the majority leader and you were the president, it became very clear that these two roles are a partnership. You can't do one without the other, and I think that's much more true and accurate in the Senate than in the House. But these two positions depend on one another, for good or for bad. And from the very beginning, you allowed this relationship to be a genuine partnership, and for us to make important decisions together, and to make sure there was an open door for us to consult one another and work through challenges and own those decisions as a partnership. But there was one decision that really I had no part in, and it was all you. And I think it's important for the record to show, for posterity purposes, that it really was entirely 100% your decision to have 6 computers read a bill all at the same time in this chamber. I don't know what the hell you were thinking. But in all seriousness, Mr. President, it has been an honor. I've learned so much from you. It's been a wild ride. We've learned a lot together in our partnership, and I'm looking forward to hearing about what it's like to be an assistant to the assistant in the years ahead. And we know that you're going to do so much for our country and continue your service and make all of us proud here in Colorado. From the bottom of our heart, we love you, Mr. President.
Your constituents, your parents, and your kids are proud of you today. President Garcia.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, members, you know, I know there's nothing more important than making sure members get to lunch, so I'm going to be brief. I know I'm pushing up on the lunch hour. Let me first off just say how thank you, and honestly how humbled I feel. You know, the Chieftain captured it a few weeks ago when the front page of the Chieftain said, the title was the statement I had made, filled with love and humbled. And I really do feel full of love and support from each and every one of you. I've enjoyed working with you over the past 10 plus years. It's gone by really fast. And I know that many of you will be expressing gratitude for each of your service in the weeks to come, months to come. Know that 10 years goes by really fast. I feel honored to have had the opportunity to serve in the House, to serve here in the Senate. You all have helped me become a better senator and a stronger leader, and it's because of the love and support that I've received from each of you. The last 2 weeks have been amazing, really to hear from so many of you via phone call, text messages, cards, interactions, happy hours. It's been wonderful to reestablish that connection that has filled me and my family with so much love. I know the last 3 years specifically have been very challenging, but in a lot of ways very rewarding too. And I'm proud of the work that we have done together. The immense challenges that we've worked through in a bipartisan manner, with cooperation from the minority, with input from the majority. There are so many things that I'm proud of, but really it's this family that we've created here in the Senate. And you know, I often say that to each of you. We are a family. So I am very proud of you all and feel humbled to leave you in a good position, because I know the Senate remains in good hands for each of you. Obviously, there are a few people I have to thank specifically and first and foremost my parents who are joining me, Lorraine and Leroy who are here, my brother Jake, obviously the love and support of my two boys, Zan who's here, sitting at my chair. It's a great picture when I first came to the Senate when he was far smaller sitting at that same chair. And of course Jeremiah who's serving at the United States Air Force Academy, who joins me in spirit. But so many of you, the staff, the nonpartisan staff, the support staff, friends, family, those in the gallery, I really, really am leaving on what I believe is the highest note one can leave on. I know that the Senate is in great hands. Make one commitment to me, members, that you finish strong during your remaining days. So thank you so much for the opportunity to join you today.